Welcome to Wraeclast Weekly, Episode 8. The beginning of Incursion is eagerly awaited, and we've got a lot of information about the upcoming league. First up, Bestiary League is coming to a close. GGG released a development manifesto regarding whether or not bestiary mechanics will become part of the core game. The short answer, no. It won't. They give some reasons, such as the difficulty of balancing beast crafting to new item releases and game mechanics, but they hint that bestiary may come back in the future. And that means official new league announcement! Whoa! Pew 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 pew! Incursion League begins June 1st, 1 p.m. PST, so set your calendars. New Bay NPC Alva wants us to travel to the past and destroy it to change the future and get them sweet, sweet loots. I am so excited for this league. Alva will appear in every instance, starting at Mudflats, so you'll have multiple opportunities to try out these incursions and go into the past. The incursion in each area that you decide to work on is going to be the same level as the instance you find her in. When you're entering an incursion, you have a chance to kill a Val Architect and affect the final construction of the Temple of Atsuatl, spelling, and its treasure in the present day. It's like when you're in a Breachstone, your time in the past incursion is increased by killing more Val, so you are encouraged to kill more. Don't worry, all of the loot is actually saved until the end of your incursion run, so you don't have to spend time picking up loot. Just kill, 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 and everything will pop up at the end of your incursion run. Your temple does not get stuck once you've done an incursion, so there are many ways to alter your temple's layout and reap all the loots you can. So yay, Colonialism League! So far we've gotten supporter packs, a trailer, a summary, frequently asked questions. So this league will include all the previous and upcoming skill revamps we've talked about so far. There's a lot of information. We've got some of the interesting new uniques that they've mentioned to look at later. I'll include lots of links below because there is too much information for me to just summarize for you guys here. There's lots of stuff upcoming. I highly recommend watching Ziggy D's video called Temple of Atsuatl Walkthrough and Guide. I will link that below as well. If you want a true sneak peek of the upcoming league, he's got the real ins on that. Skill Revamps Part 5 was announced. This update included Infernal Blow, Freezing Pulse, Ground Slam, Val Righteous Fire, and the best makeover winner of 3.3 so far, Incinerate. I'll give a too long didn't read of each skill listed here. Incinerate is totally revamped. You channel a forward cone and 2 smaller side cones of fire, with each increasing damage while channeling. When the channeling is released, it creates a wave of damage 6 times the combined channeling damage and always ignites. The skill will come with clear channeling indications similar to Blade Flurry, so you can time the release of the skill for specific damage. Infernal Blow's mechanic will remain the same. Will still work with Melee Splash and Ancestral Call, but now your main target of damage will get a stackable debuff that deals weapon damage in the area. You'll actually see a fiery buildup and explosion effect for this debuff. Freezing Pulse has had an overall damage increase, new and improved visuals. The damage decrease from the player to the end of projectiles has been buffed, so it now goes from 100 at the player to 0 damage at the end of the projectile to 100 at the player and only 50% reduced damage at the end of the projectile. Ground Slam will have a wider area, angle, and more damage. It will also deal more point blank damage, so right by the character, encouraging you to get closer. There is also a Val Ground Slam teaser. Finally, Val Righteous Fire consumes less life and energy shield on use, making it less risky to implement. So it no longer does a hit damage. It actually applies a short burn duration to enemies in range, so it can be used in addition to your normal Righteous Fire burn. 2 new skills were announced, both being new traps. There will be a total of 5 new trap skills in Incursion League. The first is Siphoning Trap. This has been described as the quintessential utility skill for trappers. It will deal cold damage over time to up to 10 enemies in a large radius, targeting closest enemies to the central trap. It will chill enemies while also granting you life and mana regen per enemy affected, so up to 10. Level 20 gem with 10 enemies is 500 life and 25 mana per second siphoned. Enemies must be in range from the trap to continue providing siphoned life and mana, so if the enemy moves from the trap, that enemy is no longer affected, but it'll be great for large packs and slow enemies. The second is Seismic Trap. This is a physical damage trap. So from the central trap, 5 bursts of physical damage appear, which target enemies near the central trap. The bursts don't overlap normally, but with enough AoE stacked, they can. The trap recalibrates based on enemy positions through the duration of this trap, and it can actually be used with physical damage conversion. One neat thing as well is that the amount of bursts per duration can be affected by users' cast speed. Moving on to some PoE fluff. Ermagerd, it's ExileCon! There will be a real-life, outside, actual con for you Path of Exile peeps. Of course, it's planned to be in New Zealand at the end of 2019 so far, but I would love to go, and if it happens, I hope to see you guys there. GGG also announced a bunch of new 3D art coming for uniques, and they've teased us with 5 here. We can see Greed's Embrace, Osprey's Will, Innsbury Edge, and Gnomic's Storm, and the Baron, which I think is my favorite of the ones released so far. So they're really on top of stuff, giving us a lot of new stuff for this new league that's coming out. There will be no build of the week this week because I am saving my body for Incursion. In Reddit and extras, there are a ton of new uniques being released constantly by GGG. There's an amazing Reddit thread keeping track of all the releases between Path of Exile site and Reddit, so I'm going to highlight a few of the new items, but I seriously recommend bookmarking this Reddit thread by Viperask and checking out some more of the items and skills and other information archived here. So in regards to some of the unique items so far, there's 2 unique belts, Coward's Chains and Coward's Legacy. Both belts give plus maximum energy shield, increased % movement speed, and plus to all attributes. They also both curse you with vulnerability. Coward's Chains on the left gives you 20% increased damage, with enemies being unlucky to hit while you're cursed with vulnerability, which is alright, but Coward's Legacy is a little bit more interesting. It gives you 50% increased effect of curses on you, and it's also a higher level vulnerability curse, but it also makes you be considered low life while you're cursed with vulnerability. So that means even though you're not technically low life, you're able to get any bonuses from that. So it'd be interesting to see some of the combinations people do of low life items with this object. But you will have to think you'll need some items like Kikazaru rings to help balance out you being cursed with level 20 vulnerability. Another new unique is the Slave Driver's Hand Gloves, which are great trap gloves, minus not having any life on them. It reduces the speed of throwing traps, but it actually increases the area of effect and gives 10% chance to gain one of the 3 charges when a trap is triggered, which is great because one of the hardest things as a trapper is to gain charges. But your trap skills also have blood magic, so that's an interesting twist. It'll be interesting to see with the trap changes and new traps coming up, what kind of trap builds people might come up with and how they would utilize this particular unique. The final unique I'll feature here today is Apep's Slumber. It's a shield that gives you additional chaos and spell damage, but it actually encourages you to be poisoned with 25% chance to be poisoned, and 50 energy shield per second per poison on you, up to 250 energy shield per second. So this could be interesting with the Golden Rule Jewel, which applies all poisons to yourself. We actually saw that in last episode where somebody was using Golden Rule, applying poisons to themselves with Assassin's increased movement speed per poison applied to you. So there could be some very interesting synergy with different items with this Apep's Slumber. Reddit user Fish312 made a PoE simulator. It's basically a practice without having to level new characters, spin currency, or grind for elder spawns. Okay, so actually it's only Uber elder spawns, and you can only be a jug. And it's mostly just hilarious preset options. You can customize your jug, give it these different preset settings, or you can just go full memes. So while the presets are hilarious and the graphics are also a little goofy, The mechanics of the fight are actually pretty realistic, and I highly recommend checking it out just for the lulz. It's a great little Uber Elder simulator. Very realistic. Wow. To end this episode, as we're all waiting for Incursion League, I'd really like to show this comic by Quellex that sums up exactly how I feel about the next Incursion League. I think this particular sentence, I was thinking we could kill some people in the past so that we could loot their stuff in the future. Too true. I did it all for the loot. Alright, that's all I have for now. We'll keep looking out for new items, new updates, but until then, stay sane, exiles.
Say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Baby, but you know